We're gonna start everything right on all over again because, we messed up. I forgot to set the default mic before we started the podcast. So, uh, what's up, guys? Welcome to the PORNCast.
I don't know where we're going or not. I'm buffering.
It'll be on in a minute.
Right.
I'm Mr. Castle. Directly to my net left, we have the Indomitable 9 or the number 9, also known as AKA 3 squared. He's all kinds of numbers.
3 squared.
3 squared is 9.
Okay.
And directly to his left, we have Javan Azrael, and directly to his left, we have Wacko, the Warner brother.
What it do, fam?
Now, what we're talking about today, or on this very special edition of the Midnight Podcast, is the future of Nintendo. Now, just real quick, we're going to go around the table and we're going to talk about our own personal experiences with Nintendo and our own personal feelings. And we're also going to check to make sure that we're actually streaming proper.
Yeah, I still feel like we got this one.
Yeah, I just realized we should have just played back what we were recording. No.
Yeah, no, I'm not seeing anything. Hang on. There we go. Stream it again. Can anybody hear me? Yeah. Yeah, there's audio coming through.
Alright, sexy.
Cool.
Okay, so
Manacle.
I personally, I have a lot of good feelings towards Nintendo. Like I said, my first console was the original Game Boy, the fucking bricks that the battery packs just didn't stay on, so you ended up having to take a piece of duct tape cardboard over the back.
Tragic fucking times.
Or at least that was the redneck way of doing it.
Not everybody did that. Even rich kids, nah.
I loved Battletoads and Tetris, even though they were both the bane of my existence. And just in general, Nintendo kind of started video games for me. The first thing that I really grew very attached to was a lime green Game Boy Color and a very old version of Pokemon Gold. One of the first video games I ever bought was Pokemon Crystal. And just all in all, I really do adore Nintendo. I love what they do. I think that they have a few business practices that are detrimental to them. But all in all, I've always loved Nintendo. They've always been a very large staple in my life when it comes to how I feel about video games. So,
again, I'm in a similar boat. Throughout my youth, I constantly used the Nintendo platform to find my kicks. Me particularly, I followed the Pokemon series all the way through Ruby and Sapphire, after which it abruptly fell off when I hit an age group that Nintendo just stopped kind of appeasing. And since then, whether they have really put out products that might tickle my fancy as a more mature gamer, I haven't seen them. So that would be my issue with Nintendo right now, is that they're really missing out on a huge market chunk, namely my area.
Just imagine everybody in Super Smash Brothers in their underwear. With the exception of Zero Suit Samus.
Like I said, I'm sure that you could
Sonic.
find more mature content games out there but they didn't reach me. They didn't reach the audience that I was in.
And when it comes to Nintendo, they are very few and far between.
Yeah.
And part of that comes from the expectation people have of Nintendo. And Nintendo having to... Well, yeah, Bayonetta was a huge...
Yeah, I was actually gonna... I was gonna bring that up, but I was like, I'll wait until it gets to me before I say it.
And then it platform jumped. I was so happy when I saw that crap on PS3.
They actually felt like I saw the Platinum Games response to why they were jumping to Wii U, and it was because they felt welcomed by Wii U as opposed to Sony or Microsoft. And I was like, whoa, that's surprising considering the content that's inside of Bayonetta, but I'm all for that. It was apparently a great game. I've yet to actually fully play through the Bayonettas. Huh? Oh yeah, no, I know you have it. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Glorious.
Like I look forward to it. It's just I haven't gotten to that part of my list yet.
I hated myself as a young man, and well, not necessarily a young man, but a younger man. And I decided to play through Bayonetta on the highest difficulty my first time through.
Oh, you sick bastard.
And ended up being almost 80 hours of gameplay.
Oh man. Oh man.
Because I don't know if you know this, but when you play, if you don't play the easier modes first, it is fucking difficult as shit to unlock new combos.
Yeah.
So it is not a pleasant way of existence.
Man. Ooh. All right. So, Javin, what about you and Nintendo?
I mean, I feel like it's going to be a common thing for everybody here because we're all in the age groups that we are, but Nintendo was my first video game experience. Nintendo 64 was where I first started. Mario World 64, yeah.
Super Mario 64?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And then Mario Karts, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. In my opinion, one of the greatest video games in video game history. I like Nintendo very much. I appreciate the fact that they want to be as innovative as they are. But that innovation, I feel, gets a lot more credit than it should sometimes. I'll leave that at that for now, and if we get to it, then I will rant for a bit.
All right.
Would you like to join us for the PORNCast, Keo? We're talking about Nintendo.
We're talking about
Yay! Our local Asian is here for us talking
Little
about
ass.
Nintendo.
Okay. Excuse me.
What you is.
Does this mean we have to start over? Because we haven't
No.
gone first?
We'll just
And
go to
now
Keo
sitting
first.
directly to my left, no longer is the Indomitable 9, but now it is Keo Sasori.
The Indomitable and the Adorable.
The Indomitable and the
Sugoi.
Adorable. Yeah.
Be indomitable.
Indomitable.
She is SFS. That's all we're gonna say. So fucking super.
Okay.
Hey! All right, I was like, super.
Califragilistic.
Super
my
Street
God.
Fighter. I don't fucking know.
And what about you? How do you feel about it?
Well, do you want to go to Keo first, or?
How do you feel about Nintendo?
I grew up with it, so I have a love or affinity to some of the games because it's nostalgia for me. Like, I grew up with, Link to the Past and Mario, Yoshi's Island, Mega Man. I had a Super Nintendo. That was, like, the love of my life because of my brothers. They always play, and I was fascinated. Like, video games blew my mind, and that was the first system. I mean, well, we had an NES, of course. But still.
Yeah.
And because I grew up with it, I feel like I do have a love for the company, but I don't really know the political stuff
Well,
about them.
I kind of feel like a lot of us were hit really hard when Iwata died. Because
Oh, yeah.
Iwata had been running the company for most of our lives, and it was sort of like losing, and that's what I'm saying, like
God, I'm a child.
for the large majority of the lives of everyone sitting here, Iwata ran that company, and when he died, it was like losing, like this uncle or a father figure that you knew very, very well, because he had influenced our lives so much. Just by the way that he ran his company. And Nintendo has always impressed me with their business practices. When Nintendo's first started netting losses, their heads of their departments, their heads of the company, started taking pay cuts so that the employees wouldn't have to.
And I definitely respect that.
Because there are so many companies like,
Hold on that note, Mr. Respect That, what are your thoughts on Nintendo? Or we just
Completely forgot.
About
So yeah, my two first I received them for Christmas at the same time. Two first video games I ever received were Pokemon.
Oh my god, a Nintendo 64!
Nah, before that. Pokemon Blue version and Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. And like I completely, I mean, granted those games weren't probably, well, Legend of Zelda probably was, but like I feel like I took those for granted at the time because I was like, oh, these games are awesome. But thinking back to how much they mean to the gaming community as a whole, not necessarily Link's Awakening, but Legend of Zelda, that's such a great way to start with video games.
I do want to say that Link's Awakening was an incredibly significant Zelda game in my life.
Hell yeah.
because and not for the reason that it was early or that it was something that a lot of us played, but because it took me 2 years to beat that game.
Yeah, no, I still have yet to beat that fucking monstrosity.
I've never played a Legend of Zelda game ever.
It's alright, there's no shame on your family.
Nah, shame on your cows, though.
Although you said you had red, or you said you had blue?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was team red, so I probably would have gotten a fight with you on the playground.
Yeah, no, like, that was the cool thing. I had a brother that was a year older than me, so he, like, his favorite color was red, and my favorite color has been blue, so we were, red, blue, silver, gold, and ruby, sapphire, like, it just kept going on with that, so that was really awesome.
That's another thing I want to point out about the Pokemon community is that essentially, very early on, nowadays, everybody just plays everything.
Yeah.
But in the early era of the Pokemon games, that shit was like
fucking
Bloods and Crips.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Pokemon teaches you to hate other people for liking something different.
It's actually it's a deep-seated fucking segregation because I'm looking at Pokemon Sun and Moon right now, and I think the legendary creature.
Can we not talk about Pokemon?
No, I just wanted to
in
say
the
something.
PORNCast,
I just wanted to say something real quick about it. I saw the legendary Pokemon for Sun, and I was like, "Holy shit! It's a lion thing. It's fucking beautiful." Saw that it had the little sun mark, and I just silently cried in my corner because I have fucking blue pride, and I refuse to play that garbage.
Oh my god.
So you're gonna get the big old bat. Now.
Yeah, I'm getting the big old bat because I blue for life.
Conceptually
What was your
insulted.
starter
For which one?
for blue?
Squirtle, baby. Squirtle. Oh yeah. No, I don't want to get into
Yeah, I
it,
was gonna say
but yeah.
Pokemon's a whole nother.
Yeah, like
podcast.
there's like
Yeah, that's a whole nother
there's
level.
We
yeah.
were
Let's
worried
not
about
go into that.
starting this without you,
Exactly,
because I
like-
knew if just me and him started this, it would very much quickly
10-hour podcast.
evolve into,
Pokemon 10-hour podcast.
We are here to talk about Pokemon.
And
We'll be for the
Pokemon.
next 2 hours.
Yeah, like for the rest of this
We have
podcast,
created other games.
I personally
Alright, you
am
guys,
not
we're
going
gonna
to
take a
say another
breakfast
word about
break.
Pokemon, except
Be
for
back
one
in
thing
a half
that
hour
has to
and
do
we'll
with
continue on
what we're going to talk
with
about.
Sapphire and Ruby.
Yeah.
Would have easily gone.
Okay.
Or,
So-
sometime tomorrow.
Now, what we're going to be talking about is the future of Nintendo. Now, before Iwata passed, it was kind of going around that Nintendo was in financial trouble, and we'd seen that in their annual reports for the last 3 years. It's a good thing we only have like 4 or 5 people that watch this live, that I can edit that out later.
Like you
Yeah.
said it, and I saw both statements in my head, and it was the first thing I thought. And
I made
it's too
labels.
late. My medication is gone. My filters do not exist. I'm going to get water.
So,
Okay.
Careful.
I may or may not come back.
Watch out.
Alright. So one of the things that, like I said, I respect a lot about Nintendo is how they practice business. They care very much about their employees. They always have, and they've always cared more about what they're making than about making something popular.
That's true.
So even in the era of like Super Mario RPG, which is probably by far one of the worst Super Mario games to
Oh my,
exist.
you made me very sad. I love that game.
No, it's a great we all love I think everybody loves the game because it's a Mario game and we got to play Mario as an RPG, but it is by far one of the worst made Mario games to exist.
Worst made
I
in
can
like
probably-
I don't want to get detracted or anything, but I just want to know like what you mean by that.
Worst made as in it fit in the not at all category of what you expect from a Mario game, which its spiritual successor Paper Mario fixed that problem. Because Paper Mario was supposed to be the sequel to Super Mario RPG,
Yeah.
and I feel like Paper Mario took the formula of Super Mario RPG and turned it into a better Mario game.
Is Paper Mario where they introduced the map and world creation concept,
No.
or was that just Mario Maker?
That's Mario Maker.
That's Mario
It was
Just
never
Mario
before
Maker?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Though there was the music Mario game that I can't remember.
From,
I-
way
That
back.
was
on Windows,
technically
yeah.
the first creation
Windows.
Mario game that.
In contrast to your opinion, I think that it was good because it really portrayed what an RPG was in that like you
Definitely.
took your turns and you decided your actions like, oh, I'm going to use an item this turn. Oh, because he's down, let me use, a pick-me-up. or defend.
essentially
So Mario Party.
began, and like this is going off the top of my head, so feel free to correct me, but it essentially began what are now action RPGs. Because I consider, not necessarily Paper Mario, I haven't played through it, so I don't know the gist of how the mechanics work, but especially Mario and Luigi, Superstar Saga, and all those games,
Yeah.
action RPGs, I feel like Super Mario RPG was definitely the start of what became action RPGs. So I definitely feel like it was good in the respect that it essentially created a new hybrid genre.
I'm not gonna disagree with you, but again, I still feel like Super Mario RPG fell so far outside of the Mario formula that it just didn't fit as a Mario game. That's not to say it was a bad game, but when it comes
Just
to
didn't feel like
being
Mario.
a Mario game, it did not fit into the formula well enough for me to say, yeah, this was a good Mario game. But Paper Mario took and fixed what was wrong with it and made it more of a Mario game, because these games we expect a certain formula from. Now, as the games have evolved, we've expected the formula to expand, but there are still certain things that you expect from the game.
I just realized I'm a complete hypocrite for even fighting you, because I feel that exact same way about Final Fantasy 13 and believe that it's a fine, it's an average game. However, I believe that its rating goes into the negative because it is called Final Fantasy 13 and it is absolutely by no definition a Final Fantasy game.
Mm-hmm. And that's what made me, as a hardcore
Like Call of Duty
old school
Ghosts.
Final Fantasy fan, upset,
Oh,
and
yeah.
didn't make me want to play the newer games because I felt that it strayed from what Final Fantasy was supposed
Exactly.
to be, or was.
In the early era of PlayStation, I was so busy with Mega Man Legends, Digimon World 3, and Legend of Dragoon. I
love Legend of Dragoon.
I never played any of the early Final Fantasy games, and it wasn't until Final Fantasy Tactics that I even picked up a Final Fantasy game.
I've never
And
played
that-
any of
that-
those either.
Final Fantasy Tactics is essentially
Alright.
the same as Mario, or a Mario RPG was to Mario.
We're just
Like
gonna
it was just out of nowhere type of
Yeah. Let's put Final Fantasy characters and make chess.
yeah, which is fucking
Yeah.
brilliant but stupid at the same time.
Off
But-
genre, Death Junior was probably one of the greatest games that was ever made. It was made
Junior.
It was made for the PSP, and it was probably one of the greatest. Just
I'm gonna have to look that up.
because it was like Psychonauts meets Ratchet and Clank essentially, and it was a very very fun game.
Okay.
Anyways,
I'm
back
gonna
onto
have to do
Nintendo.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
back
I
to
mean
the
this all
topic.
ties into Nintendo being very brave in attempting to not necessarily innovate. Well, innovate.
They're trying to.
Nintendo always innovates, and sometimes it is at the cost of quality.
Oh yeah,
Well, I mean, I remember when the DS came out, and I was like, what the heck, 2 screens?
absolutely hated it.
But I had to have it. That was one of the things that, like, really appeased to me. Like, what kind of gameplay am I going to expect from having a screen here and down here? And it worked for me. There was a couple games that I had for the DS that I really enjoyed playing, one of them being Metroid.
Oh,
The original DS.
I just wanted to say.
I don't remember seeing a lot of games that, and I don't actually own a DS. I haven't seen every DS game that's there, but I don't remember ever really seeing a lot of games that used both screens at the same time. Like there were games that used top screen, there were games that used bottom screen, but there were only like 2 or 3 that I ever really saw played that had mechanics that you needed both screens for
That
to
you needed,
function.
yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to say in my introduction, but Nintendo 3DS is my favorite console of all time. But going to Nintendo DS, I played it at GameStop back when GameStop was
The place.
EB Games.
Yeah.
Back when
Oh,
GameStop was
EB
EB Games, and
Games.
they had like the DS there before it was released, and I
Those
thought
of
it
you
was the
not from the West
stupidest
Coast.
thing, the stupidest thing ever. But going from that point to here, I thought it was gonna fail. I was hoping it would fail, but just it proved me wrong so hard. And I, like you were saying that you haven't seen many games that do it, but they took that concept and they completely made it their own. There is Pokemon made it so that the bottom screen was a menu. There's what was the Metroid game? Because that was a launch title. And that was the game that made me hate DS.
Metroid
Metroid
Fusion.
Prime.
Metroid Prime.
No,
Metroid-
Metroid Prime was
Yes.
GameCube.
Fusion was
Yeah.
Game Boy.
No,
Fusion,
It was Fusion.
Fusion was Game
Fusion
Boy.
was for, yeah.
It was Game Boy
They-
Advance.
Fusion had a.
No, you guys-
It was re-released for the DS.
No,
yeah.
you're thinking of the wrong one. Game Boy Advance? No, it was for Game Boy Advance, and then there's another one that was a trilogy, or it was two games. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but.
There was a. It was considered a really highly rated Metroid / DS game, but I hated it when I first saw it.
There was a few
Metroid
things about
Fusion.
it.
It was a 3D game. It was not a 2D game. Metroid Fusion.
It was Hunters.
Oh,
Hunters was the one that came out for the DS.
Yeah.
And then they did have Prime Federation, which came out after that.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, that's what you were
Fusion was Game Boy Advance. I've played through it a million times. I know Metroid Fusion.
They did actually re-release it for the DS Arcade, so you can actually
Okay,
download
yeah,
it on
yeah.
DS now.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Ayy.
But
I'm having trouble with the other game I had. Where you go to a village and all the villages, animals and stuff.
Animal
Animal
Crossing?
Animal Crossing, yes.
Yeah.
I had Animal Crossing.
I never played. I knew what it was.
Oh, that's the other one. Fucking greatest, one of the greatest 3DS game or DS games of all time, in my opinion. The world ends with you, where you have to fight. It's an action RPG type of game, and you have to fight on both screens at the same time with two different characters. And I thought it was absolutely stupid. I was gonna go with it because it was fucking Tetsuya Nomura. He created Kingdom Hearts. He created or he helped in a lot of Final Fantasy games. So, character design.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'll go with it, and it was absolutely beautiful. 100% it the fuck out of that game because it was so worth it. But yeah, they take something, and they definitely over time will make it their own, and I do
Right.
respect that.
Not to cut you short, but that's how I feel
Oh,
about the
that's all I was
original
gonna say.
Game Boy. Because as a kid, it blew my mind that there was a handheld system
Oh,
that you
yeah.
could play, and we had a freaking brick, and it was
Yeah.
amazing. We played Final Fantasy on it.
But yeah.
And then now you look at like they adapted. I mean, Sony made their PSP, and then yada yada. But
Yeah.
it's like you said, they adapted. They made the Game Boy and just kept
So-
making it better.
Where is it?
Sega had a handheld
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they
console
did.
as well, and it
And-
was literally 12 times the size of the original Game Boy. I had one, and
They had a smaller handheld as well.
no, the original one. I'm talking about the
It was
one they
like
launched around the same
was like
original
this,
time.
right?
one, yes. The original one, yes.
It's like
They
this,
were-
right?
They had a smaller one, too.
It was about the width
Yeah.
of this keyboard and about that much column.
Yeah.
And the whole thing weighed about.
Which is about a
the whole
foot, guys.
thing weighed about like
Tablets.
about 4 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh
It
my
was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
And the battery life was only 2 hours at the most, and the cartridges were almost as big as regular Sega cartridges.
Oh my.
The thing was an
Lord.
absolute beast, and it would get so fucking hot if you played that thing outside.
Mm.
It would overheat like a motherfucker.
Oh, speaking of that, you just reminded me a lot of things that they did for Game Boy that were fucking beautiful, and I really hope they revisit those ideas. First of all, the Game Boy camera. Second of all, Pokemon Pinball. No, it's stupid, but the fact that they would go that far for something like that at that time was
Yeah.
really cool.
Something-
Pokemon Pinball with the rumble and things like that.
Unnecessary. Unnecessary. Should have saved it for the
Unnecessary but
advance.
cool.
It would have been
The
amazing
unnecessary
as an advance release.
but cool innovation. That was like 7 years difference anyway.
I know. They should have
Um,
saved it.
So
They should have saved it.
the third thing and final thing was, have you guys ever played Django? No, god damn it, I knew you were gonna say that. The Sun is in Your Hands. Django, the Sun is in Your Hands. It is a game by Metal Gear Solid. It's who did Metal Gear Solid?
Hideo Kojima.
Hideo Kojima. It's a game by Hideo Kojima, and
Oh, really?
yeah, it plays exactly like Metal Gear Solid. However, the cartridge comes with a solar scanner, and it's about it's kind of like Metal Gear Solid but with vampires and vampire hunters, and you play outside to charge your gun, which runs on solar energy, and you can actually find that gun in Metal Gear Solid 4, and I believe
Oh.
3. And so it kind of like, it was in an attempt to get people to play outside more. And so that was really cool. So like
Play outside.
you actually had to go
Just the
outside
midfield.
and like that's such a cool idea, and they didn't
It was a
revisit
good
it.
idea.
The one
Yeah,
thing
and
that
it
I will
definitely
say
worked for
is
that
that
game completely.
the pre Game Boy Advance SP era made me personally as a kid feel like a fucking spy. Because in order for you to be able to play your
exactly
Game
where
Boy
you're
whatever
going.
you wanted, because like as a kid, like I stumbled across a full Game Boy setup in a secondhand shop down in Ventura when I was 12 years old, and it was the thing where it had the little speakers that folded out from underneath and plugged into the top,
Wow.
and it had the lights that folded over and the magnifying glass that came up and it made the screen bigger, and it had the little grip on it that made you be able to hold everything. Whole thing itself probably weighed about half a pound, and if you plugged it into your Game Boy while you were playing, it would drain the battery in about half an hour.
Oh, man.
Whereas your Game Boy Color's batteries would normally last, I don't know, a month.
Yeah.
If you plug this thing in, it would drain them in half an hour.
So like you say that playing before the Game Boy Advance SP made you feel like a spy. However, the day I got a Game Boy Advance SP, first thing I did with it was played with it while it was in my pocket because you could fold it, and that was the most kick-ass thing as a kid. I believe I was in like 6th grade when that. Yeah, I was like, holy shit, that's so cool.
The day I got a Game Boy Advance SP, all my friends were playing with 3DSIs.
Oh. I actually got the SP as an award because I was brave enough to ride a roller coaster.
Hey,
So my
nice.
brother was like, I will buy you Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories and the Game Boy Advance SP. I said, oh my god. And it has that button, you can turn the light on.
Yes,
I was like,
you
okay,
know
I'm
it.
in the daytime, I don't need the light.
Hey.
I when my first Game
Technology.
Boy Advance SP, I actually bought an attachment that made it feel like a GameCube controller.
Oh,
So
yeah, I know.
that
what you're
was
talking about. yeah.
fun as well.
I actually bought the cable too so I could battle my friends at
cables?
school.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
You were
I
the
played that
coolest kid at
game
school
to no
if
end,
you had a
so
link cable.
needless to say, I won
were.
the fights. But
Yeah.
I challenged them anyway because I wanted to.
Like, having a
Okay, I have
link
a cable.
cable was essentially the equivalent of having $1 million when you were a kid my age, or around my age, back when, like,
Yeah.
Having a link cable was like being the drug dealer now.
exactly.
Yeah.
You were like,
You were the cool
hey,
kid.
bro, you got some link cable?
let's
Give me
get
that,
on.
what was it,
And God
Oddish
forbid-
in red version, Bellsprout in blue, I believe, something
God
like that,
forbid
yeah.
you
Oddish.
had the link cable with the special connection halfway through the cable that let you plug in 2 more link
Two
cables.
more
Hell
cables.
yeah!
Yes.
For
So you could
for
four-player
Legend of
on
Zelda
games
4
for-
Swords,
yeah.
that was beautiful. Yeah. So Nintendo
remember
did a
that.
lot of things and innovated a lot, and I do give them credit for that. For what we're about to say about their future plans and their current plans, or their current workings for Nintendo.
No one can say that the Wii wasn't gimmicky, but
Fucking hate the Wii.
Part
Thank
of-
you for saying something.
part of the reason why the Wii was gimmicky is because a lot of other companies had gotten a hold of Nintendo's patents before they were able to release it. So, PlayStation released the eye candy, the
Oh yeah.
the little camera.
Oh man, I remember.
iToy,
yeah.
I had one, so I know.
Yeah, and
It's very addicting.
then when the PlayStation 3 came out, they were supposed to have motion sensitive controllers, and Nintendo nipped it in the bud because they actually released concept drawings from Nintendo's original concept for
The Wii.
the Wii Nunchuck,
Oh, okay.
and it was originally the Wii Boomerang, and there's all kinds of controversy around that, and
Huh.
it ended up being not a whole pleasant thing between a lot of them. But by the time that Nintendo got around to actually releasing it, all the things that they were releasing had already been talked about so much in the media that it was no longer like, oh, look at this new thing we're bringing out. It more or less looked like, hey, look at this thing we're just now catching up on. And ever since that time, Nintendo has very much been playing catch up with the rest of the industry.
And you and I were talking about this
If I
earlier.
am playing video games, I want to be sitting down
Well,
playing video games. My world should
yeah,
be
I'll let you
here.
go first.
I don't want to have to get up and dance with my TV screen to play video games. The Wii is
But that was
conceptually
what was so
insulting
cool
to me
about it, was that
as
you used your
a
body.
lazy gamer.
you and I were Castle and I were talking about this earlier, and I believe Java was a part of the conversation. That I was calling the Wii and specifically the Wii U's gamepad gimmicky, and you made a good point, and I do agree with this that it might be a little gimmicky, but at the same time, Nintendo's intentions were to enhance gaming by thinking outside of the box, and I completely respect that because gaming, even though it's a tried and true formula, it not necessarily has gotten stale, but the fact that they want to add to it is something that I think is a good idea.
Have you ever played like Pikmin on the Wii U?
Yeah, no, that's one of my
Yeah.
Pikmin 3, fantastic.
You
Yeah.
know, when my friend came over and hooked her Wii U up to my projector and we started playing those games, I was like, holy crap, how come this hasn't reached me?
Yeah.
And it's just now getting to me, and it's already been out for 3+ years.
Because Pikmin 3 specifically, and I believe one or two more, were examples of good things that they've done. My complaint was coming more from a Mario Party, the newest one, I think it's 10, where there are certain aspects of the game. Also, Captain Toad, where you have to you're forced to use the gamepad as opposed to it being a limb, like an extension of gaming itself. Ooh. Same thing with Star Fox Zero, I believe it's called, where it's forced as opposed to being an extension. Though with regards to Star Fox, it feels like their intentions were more of a extension than some kind of here you have to play with our new product type of thing. Yeah. However, I do feel like that should have been optional.
But I actually want to recant. Mm-hmm. I do feel that releasing Star Wars Force Unleashed on the Wii was just about the best marketing strategy that anybody could have ever come up with.
Because who doesn't want to swing
Because who doesn't want to swing around a lightsaber?
Yeah,
that
literally.
I'm okay with. Because as a child, I want to be give me a stick and I'll beat down invisible robots and go for days.
My friend literally
so
bought
that is okay, but
yeah, I used to have a bunch of fake lightsabers I grew from my buddy's house.
Man,
Wii Sports upsets me on an emotional.
My friend brought his remote to school specifically to do the Wii lightsaber app on the computer, on the Mac. So we sat there in class doing this because, I mean, lightsabers, we're just like, this is so freaking cool.
Yeah. Were you going to say something else?
So, when...
Go ahead.
Sorry. When it really comes down to Nintendo has always kind of changed the game board. All the other consoles out there, they keep releasing the same thing. You got checkers and chess. They all play on the same board. But, Wii starts throwing out some crazy stuff out there, and it really makes...
Nah, same.
Yeah,
Not the same.
Yeah, they really have... they really force developers and companies to adapt and make fresh content. And unfortunately, it's not the best for the way economics work, but it's either trial by fire. Is it really gonna work on these new game boards? Are they really gonna be able to adapt their software to it, or they're gonna fail hard and it's gonna feel like crap?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because there was supposed to be a new one, and we'll get to it more in detail in a bit. There was supposed to be a new Nintendo system coming out sometime soon, and they pushed it back for very good reasons. Very, very excellent reasons. And because of the direction that things are heading nowadays, I feel like the next Nintendo system, the Virtual Boy notwithstanding, could be our first actual look at some type of virtual reality gaming. Because they are very much pioneers in their industry to whatever extent they can be.
First, I want to add to a point that was already made about Nintendo pushing the envelope. Yes, they push the envelope, but something that Nintendo understands that a lot of other game companies don't, or at least something they don't act on, is that you have to train your audience.
Oh yeah.
And Nintendo is willing to take a short-term loss for a long-term gain. The Nintendo DS was a huge risk on Nintendo's part because it's something that was incredibly difficult to learn how to play. But once we saw how intuitive this system was, there are now more games being sold on the Nintendo DS than almost any other console, not counting AAA titles like Call of Duty and Battlefield and things like that.
Well, it also helps that they're a lot more affordable too. Like a new game comes out for the Nintendo DS and it's like $40.
$40.
Yeah.
Yep.
A new game comes out for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, I love it. The PS4 and Xbox One games, when everything was being projected and theorized at, they were saying that new games were going to start being $80, and everybody just got enraged, and it got put back down to $60.
Oh man!
But it's like a new game is $60, even for the computer. PC Master Race is $60 when unless you're buying it directly online as just a
cheaper,
physical
right?
copy, and then it's $50. But like Nintendo has their new games come out lower than everything else, and I feel like that also helps drive sales a lot.
And here's something else to consider is that these AAA titles that you get for the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, yeah, they're $60, but then every DLC is $10.
Oh yeah.
So then you may spend $60 on the disc, but you're not actually, and it's gotten to a point where games are developed with DLC in mind, so you don't even actually get the full game until you get the first 2 DLCs. So
like somebody made the analogy of a hamburger. It's like the lettuce, tomatoes, and mayo is all DLC. You just get the meat or the
meat in the bun. It's just
the best example.
Oh man.
Destiny.
Oh
yeah.
And we're not going to go into that because that entire setup was just absolutely
I think what was crafty,
horrendous.
Craftily
was
kinky.
Yeah, smartly, whatever. Stop.
Stop.
The Last of Us. That was a good use of DLC because
I
we
agree.
still enjoyed the main game story as a whole, but then the DLC added to it more. It wasn't a missing part. It was supplements. It wasn't.
How many different how many DLC sets were there for The Last of Us?
One.
Exactly. When you play games like Call of Duty, it's like, all right, here's this DLC block, and in another 3 months, here's the next one, which costs the exact same amount. How much was the DLC for Last of Us?
15.
15, 10.
And that's the typical price. If the game costs $60 and the DLC that you pay for once costs $15, that's $75. It's a little expensive, but it's a low price.
Well,
when you have things like Call of Duty where
it's
even if you
$20,
don't count microtransactions, there are, I believe, 3 or 4 different main DLC blocks. That's another $60 on your game.
Not to mention that, Last of Us especially, the DLC for Last of Us was almost an entirely new game.
Yep.
So you almost got an entirely other game in Last of Us for $15.
Which is beautiful.
He did.
So,
and I love the story for it.
I also love that
Last of Us will go away.
going back to
That's an incredible DLC.
Going back to Nintendo, they I feel like they not necessarily DLC, but they do extensions of games really well. For example, Pokemon with the Pokemon Bank. God damn it, I brought up Pokemon again. But like they have that. I would consider that DLC because you get to transfer your own
even before the
conquest
Pokemon
into
Bank, there were. I mean, I would count Mew as DLC because you had to do something specific to get Mew onto your game or a character.
And not even just for Pokemon.
Where you had to go out and buy Pokemon Coliseum just to be able to get certain Pokemon onto your game. The first one that they did that was like the worldwide event. I can't remember which Pokemon that released. It might have been Mew, but those are the world. Oh yeah, so it was a worldwide event that you had to partake in to get this Pokemon. And it's like that's kind of DLC, but all you had to do was show up. I didn't have to spend $15 to get this online pass to get this ticket so that I could do this.
But it still persists today. That's what I'm saying. And
GameStop will be like,
Mew is out, isn't it?
They did another thing for if you're subscribed to whatever Nintendo thing, you can get Mew again.
Oh.
However, I just wanted to say for Fire Emblem, which is a beautiful example, they did have DLC, which was a completely third story to the game. They released 2 games, and then they essentially released the game a third time as DLC, which was a quarter of the price, and you got a completely different story, and if you bought the special edition, which was $80, you got both games, and then you got the DLC a month early for free. And that's such a beautiful way to do things for Nintendo. I think that's
Well, and Nintendo
immediately
has
as
always been very culture oriented because Nintendo knows that there is a culture within itself that surrounds their games.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're also probably one of the last mascot bearing consoles because while you may have Master Chief for Xbox and you may have like the Uncharted series or
Ratchet and Clank, maybe.
Yeah, for PlayStation. It's not so much.
PS exclusive.
Yeah,
It was, but it wasn't really something that people.
It wasn't really a
as
mascot.
Iconic, I
Yeah.
feel, as
Yeah,
the other
like I think
It was
Halo,
iconic, but it
Halo is
wasn't-
a happy accident
Oh
where
yeah,
it kind of became a staple of the Xbox.
completely.
And it almost ended up being on PlayStation, if I remember correctly. The early development
It's
they were
on
supposed
PC.
to develop
I
for
don't
the
remember.
PlayStation,
Oh yeah, it is.
and then it ended up getting bought by Xbox
Yeah.
for the rights for distribution. But
Microsoft?
yeah, but the Xbox team is the one who picked it up.
Oh.
And the
Yeah, no, because the only ones that are on PC are like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Like the rest of them are just the
Xbox
console.
And well, okay, let's not get into it. I was gonna
Well,
say
and
that RTS.
the Nintendo has done something very brave in maintaining these things because when was the last time you saw a decent when was the last time you saw a decent Spyro game? You saw a decent
Never.
To be fair, because you use
Wow.
Spyro, and that's the
Purple
worst
Dragon is
example.
trash.
Spyro's done by Insomniac.
Oh.
Insomniac's doing Ratchet and Clank and Sunset Overdrive and shit like that. And I believe they have a new game in the works. I don't know, but so Spyro is kind of like one of their older IPs.
Yes,
but
I
at the
do.
same
I
time,
remember seeing it on
Spyro
the
is now a part of Skylanders, which you've probably heard of. Skylanders completely overshadowed Spyro, but
Yes.
Spyro was originally the head of Skylanders, and so the Skylanders brand is essentially Spyro.
I understand that, but like then you have even games that are more recent like Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Daxter. But I'm talking about like the older ones, like
Do you mean to the point of like being like
what's his name?
memorable and iconic?
Crash Bandicoot
Oh yeah.
and
Oh my God.
Gex, like the
Oh, well,
original.
Gex was Nintendo, right?
No, there's PlayStation.
Was it?
Yeah, he's thinking of PlayStation 4.
So
I need
Crash
to look that up.
Bandicoot was
Gex.
on
well, then
I'm
you
pretty
have,
sure
you have
Gex was Nintendo
Conker's
64.
Bad Fur Day,
Capcom with Resident Evil.
Right, you're right.
Resident Evil.
Conker's is just a bag. There's nothing
I
okay
fucking
or
love that
acceptable.
game.
But
I
Yeah.
love the game too, but there's nothing okay or acceptable.
Yeah, nah.
about it.
Oh wait, okay, no, you're right. Gex was both Nintendo 64 and PlayStation. You're right.
One
But
thing I'd like to talk
Crash
about
Bandicoot
Oh.
was also right.
is despite the fact that they've been able to change the port around so much, it's been very stable compared to crap Xbox One.
Hey, shots fired. That Xbox One is crying right now.
Which I almost
It should.
Sorry, Tucker.
I almost immediately regretted buying the console if it wasn't for
Master Chief.
Master
Collection.
Chief Collection.
Mm.
I probably would have taken it back the same day because it crashed on me immediately.
Wow.
And it had just updated. So
Man. Yeah, and like funny enough, the Xbox One, the minute we installed it, did crash. The
Yeah.
minute we tried to turn it off. So it's saying something about Microsoft right there.
Well, and my point is that Nintendo knows. A lot of people will accuse Nintendo of staying with familiarity, but Nintendo has done something that no other gaming company has done, and that's that they've maintained these mascot characters for decades.
Years.
When Pikachu
years.
stops being so lovable, they will remove it from the
Like
game.
Mario
In the meantime,
is no.
Pikachu is a staple. Pikachu is a face.
Well, that's the thing. Is like
everybody recognizes.
Mario.
Everybody knows.
Mario went through
Mario
an era
also
in
was,
like
yeah.
the early 2000s where Mario was becoming increasingly unpopular.
Oh yeah,
amongst
I remember
gamers.
that
Yes.
time.
And Nintendo could have dropped it, started a new game series, and just moved on.
No,
But they
they can't.
continued
Brand
developing
new.
games.
Not only kept continued to develop it, but they also continued to innovate Mario, which is insane.
Yes.
Like
Mario
they were
Sunshine.
like, it's unpopular, but we're
Sunshine,
gonna
everybody-
keep doing
Mario
different things with
Sunshine,
it,
I
which is
freaking love
ballsy
that
as
game.
hell.
And that's
I feel like Mario Sunshine was the comeback for Mario. It really was.
I you know a
A
lot
lot of people like that game. For me.
and a lot of people didn't give it as much credit as I felt it was due, but I really liked Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's
that was
Mansion
a
was
good
a
game,
fun
too.
game.
It's fucking
So much
iconic
fun.
GameCube game for sure.
Yeah.
It was also one of the darkest titles that Nintendo's ever released
Right.
outside of.
Hauntings and ghosty goo.
Well, and the implied ending is that they're both dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's like,
It's just like, oh.
I'm like, wow, Nintendo,
Well-
ballsy.
Nintendo went dark with Majora's Mask.
That's true.
True, but that
No.
was also
That was a happy
very
accident.
much by accident.
Yeah, that was
They
definitely
were
a happy
given
accident.
they were given
That-
what 6 months to make
that
that
I
game.
think
that game
a
was
little less than 6
intentionally
months
nightmare fuel.
actually.
Yeah.
There is nothing okay
That
about that
moon.
movie.
They were.
It was
There's nothing
inten-
at all okay about
It
that
was
movie.
intentional
That game is
given their
intentional
it
nightmare
was
fuel.
accidental success, intentional creepy factor because of their
Their time limit.
Their
Like,
tempo,
oh, you
yeah.
only give us
Think
6
about
months?
it.
Cool, we make
He
this
was
game
putting
horrifying
souls
for
to
you.
rest.
yeah.
Like suffering souls, and then like the whole world is ending in 3 days.
And you have to think about the fact that it's a Japanese game,
That
and so
moon-
there's a different culture when it comes to
that
things like
moon
that.
makes me
So
okay
that's
with
not
having never
as
played a
creepy,
Zelda
but
game.
yeah. For everyone else,
Well,
they were like, oh well, you
and
guys can go fuck yourselves.
Something that I feel like hurts Nintendo a lot is appropriation. Like Nintendo makes a lot of really great games, and then they get dumbed down when they're brought into the States because of things that just don't want to be shown to the general public. Like
Like
America-
the fact that you kill Radeon.
America and a bunch of other countries, they censor games based on things like nudity, religious implications.
I wasn't gonna talk about the Nintendo censorship. I saw an article and I was like, nope, not touching it. But
well,
okay,
and
since
we're
you
not,
guys
we're
bring
not
it
gonna
up.
we're not gonna go
Yeah.
too far into it. But what I'm saying is that Nintendo still makes these games a certain way. Like
Yeah.
in the original Earthbound games, I don't know, those are Nintendo.
That's a
Yes,
Earthbound
that is
Nintendo,
yeah.
Nintendo. Yes.
The original Earthbound games had swearing in them.
Yep.
Like the Japanese versions had swearing in them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Japanese games use the trope of the drunk village idiot.
Yep.
And they like in Pokemon, for instance, in I think it's in Celadon City, there is an old man laying in the middle of the road.
Yeah,
And in the
yeah,
original
he-
game, he's a drunk fuck talking about how he left his wife. And then in the English version, he just talks about how he's
still a
taking a
drunk
nap.
guy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
he's
there's,
not-
there's some like
No, I think there's
he's
two.
like tipsy and
Yeah,
he
in-
burps or vomits or something like that.
In the beginning of the game, when you learn how to catch Pokemon, in Viridian City, he's laying in the middle of the road and you can't pass, and he's supposed to be drunk, but in the English game he just needs his coffee or something like
Yeah.
that. So same thing.
Yeah. But it's just these dumb little things that take away from the overallness of the game, and some games get shot in the face entirely because of that censorship.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
Um,
they do.
So speaking of games, do you want to get into what the current release games are for Nintendo?
do you think?
Let us see here. Upcoming games for Nintendo. Let's talk about Kirby first, because Kirby is looking in
It's also
some
very
pretty
well.
retarded. I'm gonna scroll up so you can see the.
Before we do this, then I want to go over to the
Well, this is gonna take the shorter time, the shortest amount of time.
the release information stuff.
Well, it ties into the Nintendo NX stuff. That's why.
Okay.
I'm gonna do that.
Okay,
No,
so
that's
for,
true. That's true. That's true.
for those of you listening on SoundCloud, Kirby is in a
He's
Eggman,
in a robot.
An,
He's in a
an Eggman style mech.
Oh yeah.
From-
Battle
yeah,
suit.
no, it is.
Battle
It is
suit.
That's bad.
Yeah.
It looks very much like what Dr. Robotnik would wear in Sonic.
Yeah.
Basically.
Only it's very, very
The
pink.
distinguished Dr. Robotnik. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, it looks terrible.
Okay.
Kirby used to be a lighthearted platformer that in Amazing Mirror was fucking difficult as hell to navigate, but it was a really just lighthearted game, and now you kind of
Lighthearted. Every Kirby game is a story of genocide.
it's a story of genocide.
Because he's just going, there's like
Lighthearted,
Ichu,
happy
Ichu,
genocide.
Ichu.
However,
Well, they
God.
don't die.
it was
though.
about his genocide,
Kirby
not his
has
robot's
his own
genocide.
Little, what is it?
Kirby's
Dimension
Epic
inside of his
Yarn.
body.
That was very cutesy, lighthearted. You were like a little bunny.
Oh yeah, no, like I like the innovation in games like that. However, I don't like that, and it's not just this game. It's typically handheld titles for Kirby. Well, there haven't really been that
Except
many
for
good
Super Nintendo.
titles for Kirby, but they'll just do this really dumb idea, and they don't try and use Kirby's formula. They try and take a mascot character and put it into a different game, the same way that Mario 2 did with Mario.
What was the last Kirby game that came out?
It was not Yarn. It was the clay one.
Oh yeah.
It was a clay one with the rainbow not Canvas Curse. Canvas Curse was doing this right, and they took something. And yeah, admittedly, they're kind of going for the trial and error feel, but I feel like they're doing too much without keeping it Kirby-esque.
Like Kirby Air Ride was guilty of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kirby Air Ride was a good game.
Yeah, it's definitely hit and miss.
Yeah.
It's hit and miss. Kirby Golf. Or it's not even Kirby
God,
Golf.
Kirby
They
Golf.
took Kirby, a mascot, and put it in a mini golf game, and just kind of decided, hey, let's make it retarded too, and it works perfectly.
It's so cute.
It's so adorable.
I loved watching Game Groups.
What I don't like is that Kirby started off as this type of platformer game, and now it's just a mascot and throw it in.
Right.
It's copy paste a mascot and into any game.
People love
Not in the same sense that Mario is, where Mario can be like that, but Mario still has his own games. That's what Kirby's a whore.
They do that
Kirby's
with
a whore.
Mario, but the Mario games, like, they do it, but they do it successfully. They're trying to do with Kirby what they do with Mario.
Well,
but it's
okay.
just not receiving the same. It's not getting the same reception that Mario is.
They go the general line with Mario. That's different. For Mario, there's Mario Basketball. There's Mario Tennis. There's Mario Party. For Kirby, there's Kirby Squeak Squad, where he controls an army of rats. There's Kirby Planet Robobot, which is stupid fucking title. But anyway, like Kirby and a robot. Kirby controls rats. There was another one that came out a couple years ago, and I was just like, I'm fucking done. But they don't try and go the general route with Kirby, and that's what I find is wrong.
On a note of the Kirby Squeak Squad, I remember when that game was announced, and there was a small article at Nintendo Power, and the gentleman who was lead development on it was so proud of that game because he was like, "We've taken the magic of Kirby and combined it with an old fairy tale, the Pied Piper," and I was like, "Oh, all right." And I read that article after the game was received terribly, and I was like, "Oh, dude."
That's
if only you could recall every one of these magazines.
Not M. Night Shyamalan. Who's the one that did? He did a movie, and no, it was M. Night Shyamalan. He did a specific movie, and it was considered bad, and he was like, "Oh no, it's still the greatest thing in the world." In his mind, I can't remember. Oh yeah, it was The Last Airbender. Yeah. He was like, "No, I still did great."
That movie
yeah.
is so intentionally racist and disgusting.
Yeah, but anyways, let's get back to Nintendo.
That's its own entire by itself.
We
could do an entire series of podcasts on M. Night Shyamalan.
What I find funny about this Nintendo list is that there are a lot of games that look interesting to me personally. However, they aren't advertised whatsoever. I've not even seen an article on a lot of these games. Well, for example, Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Why are we making Lego
tag FE? I don't know what that's supposed to be. However, it looks kind of cool.
Lego
I'm just saying.
It's all Enemu. They're not gonna bother.
Well, another one was lower down here. The next Penelope. I don't know what. Y'all can do that later. But the next Penelope looks like a really interesting game. I haven't looked at trailers or anything. I've just looked at this page and thought, hey, I want to learn more about that game. But they haven't tried pushing that whatsoever. However, I have heard about Monster Hunter Generations, even though I haven't played a Monster Hunter game in my life. Yes, I plan on correcting my sins and repenting to the Father. However, like, it's weird that he is my father. Anyway, Daddy, pay child support, please.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Yeah, they're already going
okay,
on.
I like the Lego games.
Yeah, I feel like the Lego games are they're pretty good for what they are.
Okay.
Force choking my company.
Around the movies.
I want to point something out about Lego games, and then we're gonna get back onto Nintendo. Lego games are the only games that have managed to make a film and then make a game about that film and still be successful in all three.
Yeah.
Like, the Lego Movie game was still just as good as all of the Lego games.
Wow.
And it's
that's a depressing formula that I don't really want to stop. It'll eventually
seen
get
that
bad,
movie.
because that's how I feel about Assassin's Creed. Like, I was like, people are going the sandbox third-person route, and I don't want it to stop. And then I was like, I want it to
I
stop.
didn't think the Lego movie was going to be good. It ended up being
I
spectacular.
played it. I'm just talking about the
Well, what you're
third-person
saying about
sandbox.
adapting into a game to a movie, back
Yeah.
and forth, vice versa. That's how I feel. That's why I like the Lego series. I mean, not only because it's just fun, but because they can pull that off. You think about like all the X-Men games that they adapted after the movies. They're freaking piles of crap.
Well, same
They're
thing with
so
like the Transformers
bad.
games. The
Transformer
Transformers
games
games were terrible.
Well,
Do you know
here's
how
the
well
problem,
received the
and here's
Platinum
why
Games one
Force
was?
Awakens
The
Lego
Platinum one?
I'm gonna
is
check
going
it.
to be widely
I would
accepted
assume
and everyone's
terribly.
going to buy it. Because
Do you know what
everybody
Platinum Games? Who
accepted
Platinum
and
Games
bought
are?
into Star Wars.
They did
Force
Bayonetta. They
Awakens
did.
as a
Oh, right.
Yeah, they did. What's the one with the dog?
Everybody was
We were just
happy,
talking
ready,
about it.
and willing to just gobble it down.
The one with
Oh,
the
yeah.
dog.
Akami.
They did
Okami, yeah.
Okami. They
Yeah.
did Beautiful Joe. They did Bayonetta. So they made a Transformers game.
Okami's
I'm like,
such a
hell
good
yeah, I want to.
game.
They did Wonderful 101, which I'm not sure if that was well received. But still.
Every single Transformers game that has ever been made has been poorly received.
No. Devastation of Cybertron.
Poorly received. Poorly received.
No.
Really?
that
I'll look
Not
that
the
up.
one that's still running at $50 on Steam.
Was that the one based
That
off the
game is
movie?
amazing.
What is it called?
I mean,
I'm
if
looking
it's a
that up right
Transformers
now.
game
It's
on its
Devastation or
own.
Desolation of Cybertron. It's one of the two. It's the newest one.
I'm
that's
talking about all the
coming
ones that have been adapted from
The films.
Oh, from films, yes.
Yeah.
That's what
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
that's
okay, that's what we're talking about. Okay.
My bad. Yeah, those ones are absolutely garbage. But
Yeah.
the games, they're just the Transformers games that they're making, completely different direction. They're absolutely
Yeah, the
amazing.
one
So-
I was referencing.
On a
Uh,
side note, I
mhm.
used to think that like making video games off of films was something that was relatively new. Started like a little early 2000s.
Pokemon.
And then
True.
I went to a local event, just Nerds Night Out, and they had all these classic game consoles, and these were like some absolutely obscure consoles from the 70s.
No, retro game.
Yeah, Retro Game Night. Yeah.
Yeah, really obscure game consoles.
And I'm sitting here like, all these games are based off of movies from back then. That's hilarious.
So-
By the way, if you've never played war games on the Atari, it's probably one of the best things ever.
Yeah,
But then again, you have to find an Atari.
I used to think that was a relatively recent thing to do, but apparently that has been like
Around.
how video games
Yeah.
have really gained
Like,
steam.
Oh, Friday the 13th for the Nintendo, the original Nintendo.
I don't want to go into the video games to movies, because that's potentially a topic for Rates Motel, as well as potentially podcast material in itself.
Yeah.
So we'll go into that at a later date. But I've definitely been thinking about that as well, and I do agree. But yeah, I just wanted to say that quick thing about Nintendo's recent
Crime
games.
Federation
Yeah.
Force.
Okay. So let's talk about their bad approach to releasing current games. First of all, in case you guys aren't all aware, their approach towards E3, for those of you who don't know, E3 is the international
Why are you watching?
international
Probably by accident. It's
video
like-
game conference for announcing different things that are going to be released by all kinds of video game companies and outlets.
Everybody everywhere.
And so Nintendo, a very prominent video game company, is essentially pulling out of E3. Not entirely, but they're not doing any more live presentations or anything like that. They're essentially, and they're not announcing anything for the future. They're only announcing things that are going to be released until the next E3, which I personally feel is a bad and good business model. What do you guys think about that?
I agree. I think that one of the reasons why game quality has diminished over the course of the last 10 years is because of, and I've spoken about this in the past, because of conferences like E3 and conferences like Comic-Con. They put a lot of pressure on creators to have something ready by that convention to remain relevant and that cuts into the quality of things because there is a hurry to get them out.
Last Guardian all the way. Oh man.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I have no bitterness about them pulling out of E3. E3 has increasingly become the bane of the gaming community because of the extreme pressure it puts on these creators that may not necessarily have millions of excess dollars laying around, like the three companies that now make Call of Duty games. They've got all of this excess time and revenue that they can just throw shit in a game and suddenly it's a new Call of Duty game. Yeah. That's not to say they don't work hard, they don't make a good product, because they do, but they have a lot of excess and they can't do a whole lot wrong.
Right. Name, in your opinion, name the biggest non-Call of Duty game. This is the most recent Call of Duties have definitely named. Name the most recent non-Call of Duty game that you feel failed.
Off the top of my head,
Non-Nintendo.
Will it work?
She said non-Call of Duty.
Non-Call
Assassin's
Duty.
Creed 3.
My bad.
Okay.
Assassin's Creed 3.
When did they announce that, and how long after announcing it did the game finally come out?
About a year, actually.
It was only a year?
About a year, yeah.
Okay.
They didn't announce because they had
Doom. They announced Doom like maybe 6 months before it came out, and they started doing beta. If I'm at E3 because that's the biggest one, and I see previews for a game that's gonna come out 2 years down the line, year and a half down the line, and it starts building that hype, and that's why Halo 5 had the 5 or 4 that like everybody was pissed off with. Halo 4. Okay. So Halo 4 had all the problems that it did because Halo 4 was so incredibly overhyped. I don't want to see a game that's coming out 2 years down the line because I'm gonna be waiting for it, and it's never gonna live up to the expectation. And in the meantime, it doesn't take me 2 years to save for a game. Why are you telling me this far in advance? Tell me what you guys are doing around the corner.
I was gonna say both Bethesda and Bioshock, or not Bioshock,
2K, 4K.
Mass Effect.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's 2K.
Although Mass
Yeah,
Effect
they're
3
both
was somewhat of a failure as well. So.
What is?
Mass Effect 3.
Well, Mass Effect 3, but in regards to announcing games and then announcing games that are going to be available in not so close future.
The biggest example, and I hope and pray that it doesn't do badly because of how much everybody's been waiting for it. Kingdom Hearts. The weight that has gone into this game, and I understand that there's a big weight going into it because everybody wants the game to come out. As soon as the second one was done, it's like, oh, okay, cool. When's the next one? Because it's just that good of a game for the players. But for them to be announcing stuff now when they have no clear plans to release it until sometime late 2017 at the soonest. From rumors a few months ago when they were talking about things, I understand they've moved up the date a little bit. But for them to be announcing things like that, I feel does not do anything good for their game.
I want to go on a quick spiel real quick. What?
Duke Nukem.
Oh yeah. Oh god. But so Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy. First of all, Final Fantasy 15, way more of a risky topic because of the fact that Final Fantasy 15 was announced way back in 2016.
And Final Fantasy 15 has a magnificently huge chance of being another 30.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's what, because they were both announced at the same time as the same game essentially. And so we've been waiting for 15 a lot longer because of the fact that Kingdom Hearts actually played it relatively safe in comparison to 15 and didn't announce that Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming out until they had something to show for it. 15, they showed a pre-rendered trailer, and that was it. Kingdom Hearts showed gameplay. Before the gameplay trailer that was released, they did not say a word on Kingdom Hearts 3 being released. They never said anything.
I don't even want that. Like,
I know. I'm just saying.
Not anybody can, but anybody can render this level's worth of gameplay and put it out so that everybody can see this. and it doesn't do things for your game.
I'm
or
just
your
saying
company.
that's
Because
true.
everybody
Yeah.
sees this, and beta for a game comes out, and it's more on PC because they actually do beta for games on PC. Beta for a game comes out, alpha comes out, and changes. Beta comes out, so many different changes. What was Star Wars Battlefront? The difference is between the beta for Star Wars Battlefront and the actual game that came out were ginormous. There's so many things different, and it's like I don't want to see this little snippet of the game that you're not even done properly coding yet.
I'm just saying, in
That far in
comparison
advance.
to Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 15 was announced 10 years ago. Kingdom Hearts 3 officially was announced about 2 or 3 years ago. And to say that it's coming out next year isn't as long by far. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I will.
understand by far.
I will
guys.
agree with you're both making fine points.
Yeah, no,
but
I
one of
do
the
agree.
one of the big issues, and actually one of the things that
Good
Nintendo
job,
does
brother.
outstandingly well is Nintendo does not hype their games at all.
Yes.
Until Nintendo has a
Surprise.
full-blown game that they're going to give you, you don't hear anything from Nintendo.
Yes.
There have been a few occasions where they have announced
Legend of
games.
Zelda.
Pokemon.
Legend of Zelda.
Pokemon Sun and Moon.
No, they have a finished product in
They
Sun and
do.
Moon. Like, when they announced it, that was
They're-
a finished product.
Well, like
Yeah.
Twilight,
For starters,
they
we're talking
did
about
suffer during
They showed a lot
Twilight
of gameplay,
Princess because Twilight Princess they announced it way before it came out and they had a lot of problems in the development of that.
Every
Hyrule-
Legend of
Hy-
Zelda game has
Hey,
terrible
Hyrule-
development.
Hyrule Warriors had
Sailing in
issues.
your boat for 3 hours at a time.
See, being a Legend of Zelda fan, because of what I saw, I was not excited for Hyrule Warriors because I was like, no, it's not Zelda.
It's not the formula, yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
shit.
I was actually
Although
just...
I
I was incredibly hyped for the probability of a Dynasty Warriors that had Zelda characters. in
Yeah,
it.
no, like, I was
It
just talking to
sounded
this
really
about this with Javin. I finally played the Gundam Warriors game. I'm just gonna call them Warriors game or Muso games. I don't understand why they're so popular. They're fun
I
for
don't
about 1 or
either.
2 hours, but I do not like. And I get the hype behind my favorite game. Like, I fucking love One Piece, and it also has a Warriors game. I understand the hype behind that, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm like, I'm not buying that.
That's why it's hype,
I'm not
because
buying
it's
that.
Zelda.
It's so
People
dumb.
are like, oh my god, mechas, shit.
Yeah.
Those games, the entire process is the entire game is one long farming process.
Yeah.
Let me raise this experience so I can finish boosting this character so that I can start working on the next character.
One Piece Grand Battle, One Piece Pirate Parade, and One Piece Grand Line were some of the absolute best team fighter games that have ever existed. I'm just gonna say that right now. I love the fuck out of those games.
I need to go back and look at these.
Have you
'Cause
guys
I-
seriously never played One Piece Grand Battle?
No.
No,
Seriously?
I probably played Grand
Oh
Battle,
my gosh,
but
you
Until I saw,
I am
the
under-
Muso games,
yeah.
I didn't
aside
know
from
they
the Muso
made-
games, which I believe
I
are
know they
good,
made One Piece games besides like for
I-
like handheld or something.
I've yet to see literally yet to see a good One Piece game aside from the Muso games, which I believe look really good and encompass the story of One Piece really well.
I'm gonna have to learn y'all. So.
No, definitely do, because I want to see this good One Piece game.
But we all know that I love fighters. So
I'll
that looks-
watch.
that
I'm
sounds-
not gonna play.
One Piece Grand Battle is spectacular.
I'll watch you. I'll watch you.
I like
with
fighting.
everybody else.
So, what were we talking about?
We completely forgot about
Nintendo.
it.
We were
Oh,
talking about Nintendo.
we were talking about releasing preemptive
Well, Capcom.
announcements before anything solid has been found with their releases.
Which is
When
why I'm happy with when
A good example of not saying shit about a game. They're coming out with a new Phoenix Wright game.
Oh my god.
I don't think you understand. There is so much hype for it. There hasn't been a Phoenix Wright game in so long. There's so much hype for Phoenix Wright. I've yet to play a Phoenix Wright game, but there's so much
You
hype.
need to.
And, no, I plan on playing through all of them. I'm playing through Layton first, and then Phoenix Wright, and then Professor Wright.
So that really
Professor Layton.
that
versus
really
Phoenix
stupid vine where I'm wearing a hat and I hold up a tiny briefcase. The tiny briefcase I'm holding up is a business card holder, and it's from Phoenix Wright.
Wright. Wow,
Oh,
that's
wow.
beautiful. Wow.
That's funny. Objection.
And when the podcast is over, I'll show it to you. I gotta sit on my bookshelf.
So, let's move on to Nintendo's future console. The Nintendo NX, as it's referred to. And as much as I don't want to get into the biggest topic first, which is the reason for the other tabs, let's just get right into that. This is a compiled list, streamlined list of all of the biggest rumors / slightly confirmed things for the Nintendo NX. The first thing, which is confirmed, it's going to be released in March 2017. The reason for this, which is in the next article, which I'm not going back to anymore, is, holy crap, I think I went through.
No, it's right there.
Oh, yeah,
It's right
okay,
there,
here it is.
halfway down.
I'll highlight this for you guys, and then I'll read it out loud. Nintendo NX was delayed to March 2017 from a holiday release so that Nintendo can accumulate a library of assorted launch titles that players can try out on the console. And I was like, holy shit, I'm buying this console. Because I respect that so much.
I'm so proud.
What do you mean, so that it's not like the Xbox One where they launch with
Wait,
Master Chief,
I have
Master
those-
Chief Collection
we
and
have-
Destiny?
we have those.
They didn't even come out with Master
Go to
Chief
the list,
Collection.
go to the list.
Yeah, I have both the PS4 and Xbox One launch title list.
Go to PS1 for 9.
PS4.
Xbox first.
Okay, let's go to the Xbox One first.
Alright, so
Start
at the top of the list we have Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. And right after that we have Battlefield.
Okay,
Ghost,
I just want to say
and
something
Call of
about...
Duty Ghosts.
Yeah.
I don't count any of those because they were releasing for Xbox 360 and
Oh, I
PS3.
should have known this.
That's-
I was working
They
GameStop
were
that day.
They were
You make a good-
silo releases.
you do make
but
a good
I
point.
don't count them as new releases.
I was gonna-
On the subject
because I
of
can
Black
buy
Flag,
it cheaper
Yeah.
for the older system.
on the subject of Black Flag, the 360 version Rogue was so much better.
No, Rogue was a separate game.
Wait,
Rogue was its own
Yeah,
game.
I
Rogue
know,
was its
I
own
know,
game.
I'm saying, but it was
But
the
he
parallel
liked that
Oh,
better.
release.
than
When
the
you
other
compare
release.
Black Flag to Rogue,
Yeah.
they were released at the same time, and Black Flag was on the next generation console.
Oh, no,
and Rogue
they
was
were
so much better.
Rogue was a separate game after.
What
It
release?
was
Rogue came out on
essentially
the handheld. It was for the PS.
no, it wasn't
Which one was the one that was just for the handheld?
that was the 3DS, and it was the one that takes place in yeah.
Yeah, I remember that year.
Yeah. There's
it
two
was
of them.
Rogue
There's
and
one
then
that takes
another
place in
game.
China, and
Okay. FIFA 14, also both consoles.
well, yeah,
It
essentially
actually sold
the
pretty
only
well.
things that they have running for them
Surprisingly,
Xbox
was
One
Madden
is-
15.
sport games,
Yeah.
which you're gonna get a lot. That is the bulk of your buys. You have nothing. You have Rise, Son of Rome, which is poorly received.
Yeah.
On PS4,
It was
they also
crap.
have a new IP, which is poorly received. So I'm not gonna fire too many shots at just Xbox One. However, all they have is sports player buys.
Again, PS4 had Angry Birds Star Wars on release,
Oh,
which
God.
is more than enough to
Stop.
carry the console.
Angry Birds Star
I hope-
Wars came out on both PS3 and PS4.
But was it a
So
launch
I
title
don't
for
count
both?
it as a release. I don't count it as a launch title for PS4 because it was coming out on both systems.
And you do
When
make
they
a good
do
point
that
with that.
with a game,
Yeah.
it's more to me. I see it as a grab for money, and it's all fun because you do have the people who can afford the new system right now, and the people who can't. But I still want to play this new game that's coming out.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's like
I was Persona 5 is coming out.
I don't count it as
Well,
a new
sometime in the
new
future,
game.
and
haven't said
I-
anything in a while, but I wanted to say that I'm comfortable with consoles being released without forcing current console owners to buy the new latest greatest console because getting
yeah.
forced to buy a console just to play the game that you want when you already have a functional platform, especially when nothing's gonna change from the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One, still a piece of crap.
Oh no,
Yeah.
a lot of
Why-
things changed,
Um,
and then
if
unchanged.
you're forcing your customers to buy a product, you're also gonna get a lot of flack from
Yeah.
that too. And
I'm not advocating for
like
yeah,
That's
forcing
why-
them to convert,
PlayStation-
which is why I hated the DS so much.
so,
Because it was forcing me to convert to a different cartridge. It was
Yeah.
forcing me to convert to a lot of different things, which I really hated, but eventually got used to. Which anyway,
And-
what I'm
feels
what I'm
really
advocating
well.
for, which they failed, was new IPs for their new console, which they had
Oh, yeah.
Project Spark and they had Rise, Son of Rome, and PS4 had Knack, and they all failed. But at the same time, that's what I'm advocating for. That's what I want. I want them to push new concepts for their new system.
Well, yeah, it's
not
still
yeah.
very dry right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
it definitely
yeah.
is.
I completely agree with Tom's statement.
Yeah.
Like, why buy? What is the catch for buying a new console?
People listening probably can't hear you.
Yeah. The joy has begun.
God damn it. Okay, let's. Okay.
Let me
It's
tell
not that
you.
important, but Jesus, I feel so angry about it. Is that it's what he said was true, because why go out and spend money on a new console? You know, what's the catch about it, right? When I have a PS3 that has like 100, 200 freaking games that are
Exactly.
still great, and that still has good replay value, and that I want to play. And then the PS4 wasn't backwards compatible.
Yeah.
That was what disappointed me the most, was that the new generation console could not play the older
so
games.
disappointing.
PS2 could play
Nope,
PS1 games.
Never announced it.
Like, you
it
remember
was
that,
rumored.
the PS2 could do
they
that.
PS2
never-
could play PS1 and
Every
PlayStation
single
3
one
could
did.
play PlayStation 2.
And honestly, because the PS2 did that, I wanted the PS4 to do that for the PS3. So
Yeah.
that way I could bring all my
Well,
other games and
every
not be bored.
generation of PlayStation played the previous generation's games except for the PS4.
And they just. But yeah, that's what I was gonna say about Persona 5.
No apparent direction.
Yeah,
directional rectification for that. Like when the PS3, how many different versions of the PS3? Let's just
two or
off
three.
the top of our let's off the top
There's
of
one
our
for the
head.
Guns
Oh,
N'
two or
Patriots.
three.
It was
I
like
remember
six or
that.
seven
Are you
PS3s
counting
that
the
came out.
special editions, or are you counting about the different versions?
Different versions.
There's
different
three.
versions. There was
Fat Boy,
different
Slim,
versions. There was six.
Six?
There was
Holy
like-
shit.
There
Yeah.
were 6 different PS3s.
Holy
Yeah.
shit! I only remember
Basically
3.
What I was saying, though,
And
is
there was
I'm
like
not
only
gonna
one of
get
them that was not backwards
upset
compatible
that they're
because
putting out a
it
new
was an
platform
accident that it wasn't backwards
that's
That was the
not
original,
really anything new, and not have a library ready for it.
Well,
Now, Nintendo's case, getting back to Nintendo, they have always managed to mix it up board. So having a library ready is definitely something that they need, because the games that
Yeah.
are gonna play on the new board have to be tailored to it.
Exactly, and
So-
I definitely respect their
So
restraint from money for quality.
yeah.
I definitely respect that.
So, I mean, you can't really compare the two genres, you know, your big hits with the Xbox and the PlayStation, to Nintendo in that sense, because Xbox One is just a better looking Xbox 360.
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 is just a better looking PlayStation 3. So, not having a library of games on release is...
Whereas
Yeah.
every new Nintendo console is something brand new unto itself.
Except the Wii and Wii U. That's the Wii U adds a shit ton to what the Wii